Before we start, that's bread. Okay? Bread. My most perverted friend gave it to me, so blame her. Lilo and Stitch, the next Disney live action remake of one of their animated classics, follows in the footsteps of previous Disney live action remakes by being a muted, less colorful, and soulless cash grab. That worked. Lilo and Stitch has already made more money than its far superior animated original, earning the biggest Memorial Day weekend in box office movie history by opening to an inconceivable $180 million US and then an additional $158 million from its international box office. Meaning this movie made around $340 million worldwide in 4 days. This movie did that. Now, much like most people my age, I'm a fan of the original movie. It came out when I was 12. I've had two sons since then, and we have all watched this movie multiple times. I played Stitch Experiment 626. I watched the television series both as a kid and now as an adult with my kids. We all remember Ruben, Experiment 625. He makes sandwiches. And I remember being really into the Lilo and Stitch trailers more than anything else. The thought of Stitch being in all these other Disney movies blew my little baby preteen mind.
Hey, you get your own movie.
So now, fast forward to 2025, and now I am a beaten, broken down man who was excited to take my children to see what I knew going in wasn't going to be the original in terms of quality or enjoyment, but maybe they could surprise me. And boy, did they. Kind of. This movie starts off with the Jumba trial in space, where Stitch is introduced as his creation that is pure evil and must be destroyed. And this whole opening sequence felt like it was filmed for release on Vine or Snapchat. We are whisked out of space almost faster than we are whisked into the movie. The opening section in the animated movie is 10 minutes, which felt like the perfect length and introduces us to the alien world and most of the movie's characters. The things that stick out in this opening are twofold. One is this live action remake condenses those perfect 10 minutes of that animated one into what felt like a 3-minute opening that tries to cram everything in it, and it all happens way, way too fast. The second issue is Zach Galifianakis as Jumba doesn't work at all. David Ogden Stiers, who voiced the original Jumba, gave him an accent, and so an accent Jumba just must have. Him just having a normal voice is weird and off-putting. I don't know why. I don't make the rules. I just follow them blindly. Blindly.
And if you have a problem with that, then you can talk to our complaint department.
The rest of the cast is fine. I have no issues with the cast, but it is really missing a very important character and then adds in a character that had me scratching my head the whole movie and going, why was this character added to this movie? Until the end of the movie, where we find out the only reason why that character was created for this movie, and I let out oh, that's the reason why. That is a dumb reason. The obvious elephant in the room is the omission of Captain Gantu, the antagonist in the first film and an integral part of the animated movie. You know, considering he is the bad guy in the first movie, that role is instead given to Jumba, making him the villain and completely destroying any redeemable qualities or any type of arc that character had in the animated movie. Add in the fact that he also doesn't have the accent, and buddy, what are we doing here? The added character of Tutu, played by lovely Amy Hill, is David's mother. David is, of course, the love interest of Nani, but you wouldn't know that from this movie because he hits on her once and then is just in the background for pretty much the rest of the movie, while his mom is only in the movie to encourage Nani to go to school or the Navy or not be a parental figure to Lilo. I don't know. Her inclusion in the movie was weird, and they used her in a way where She was both Lilo's caretaker, but never there when Nani needed her to watch Lilo. It was just what a weird inclusion. David is in this movie because David was in the original movie. And we have to put David in this movie and we have to have him say, "You sure it's a dog?" You see, because he said that in the first movie. And then he has to get her a job because he did that in the first movie. But he can't save Stitch from drowning because this is Nani's movie. So she mentions something about carrying rocks underwater for the Navy or surfing or something, or the neighbor lady does at one point in the movie. So Nani carries Stitch across the ocean floor for what feels like 10 miles and then is just fine. I don't even remember her being out of breath or anything. And I'm not one of those movie reviewers on YouTube who is now going to do 50 videos about how Nani is a Mary Sue and how women shouldn't be able to do anything in a movie ever that's even slightly heroic. I'm just saying, I don't know. If you are going to change that scene, can't you do that exact same scene with her walking, Stitch to the beach, but then end it with her almost drowning and needing to be mouth to mouth resuscitated by David? Let's have her like spit up water like we have seen in a million other movies. She makes a joke about David kissing her. He gets all embarrassed and flustered. And it's this moment of levity in this really serious, tense moment. And then you can have Lilo run up to her crying about how she almost lost her too. And then cut to Stitch having this realization about being saved. And then he comes up and like snuggles up to Lilo and Nani. And in that moment, that finally feels like they are all together. And then after that, you can have the talk in the hammock where Stitch, realizes that he was the reason Lilo almost lost the only family she has left, leading to the ugly duck scene. And then the revelation that Stitch just wants to be loved and not destroyed, right? From the animated movie. But obviously, we can't do any of that because there is no Captain Gantu. And Nani has to leave at the end, which is the big elephant in the room. So let's talk about that. Okay. This is all anybody wants to talk about from this movie. So obviously, Ohana means family. And it's really the thing from the animated movie that sticks in your head long after you have seen the movie, right? And you forget all the other stuff about what the actual movie is about, but you remember Ohana means family and that nobody gets left behind, right? So at the end of this movie, Jumba has captured Stitch and Lilo has just snuck on the ship to save him, which everyone keeps talking about that Nani thing at the end that we will get to, but this moment with Lilo and Stitch is a much bigger issue in the movie and kind of destroys the entire point of the first movie, in my opinion. And then the added of a 6-year-old just happens to outsmart a super advanced alien scientist and then presses a button on him to win the battle she has never once seen him press. She just does it and then just saves Stitch. No big deal. Whereas when Lilo gets captured at the end of the animated movie, Jumba captures Stitch and only lets him go to rescue Lilo. Stitch says the Ohana means family. Nobody gets left behind or forgotten to Nani, thus completing the arc of Nani, the arc of Stitch, Jumba, and even kind of Pleakley. This is the moment Nani realizes she doesn't want a life without Lilo. She doesn't want to lose the only family she has left. The music swells, and then we have just about a perfect 20 minutes of the movie where Lilo has spent the whole movie feeling alone and abandoned, looking for a friend, and then Stitch saves her. And their only two lines during the big action finale are Lilo saying, "You came back," and Stitch saying, "Nobody gets left behind." And then the movie ends the same way, except in the animated movie, it's a much more clever way with Lilo claiming ownership of Stitch because she has the adoption papers and saying she spent $2 on him. In the new one, they just like give Stitch to her for whatever reason, because she's just a little 6-year-old who they trust with an indestructible alien. In the live action one, it makes it look much more dumb than in the animated one, where it's kind of like just this cute little moment. But she making her still be 6 in the live action one was kind of the thing I wish they would change. I wish they would have aged her up so it didn't seem so ridiculous when this 6-year-old is kind of doing all this stuff. But then everything in this movie just feels slightly off. It's a movie constantly trying to be more emotional, right? The directors and writers came out. I've seen the interviews where they said we had to cut Captain Gantu from the movie for more emotional family stuff. But the added emotional stuff feels more hollow when the actions of the characters in the movie don't warrant any of the emotional beats of the original. Because at the end of this movie, Nani just decides to go away to college. And of course, in this fictional movie about aliens basically invading Earth, we can't have the school be on the same island. We have to have it where the school is just far away for whatever reason. So Lilo can just be taken by the state and given to her neighbor Tutu and David, because Tutu basically says Ohana means taking care of yourself or some insane line like that. A line that is almost the exact opposite of what Ohana has always meant, especially in the animated movie, where it's just like a phrase they repeat nonstop to really drill it into your head that Ohana means family, nobody left behind. But you all remember Tutu, right? The woman who apparently can't watch Lilo long enough for Nani to go to work or to look for another job, but can now just raise her for Nani to go to college on the mainland. But you see, we needed the scenes of Lilo and Stitch getting Nani fired and messing up her job interviews because that's what happened in the first one. Did anyone who made this movie watch the first one? Like, did they watch it completely or did they just watch clips of it on YouTube? It really feels like they just watched clips of it on YouTube and then just cherry picked things they liked and were just like, we'll make up the rest. But I'm done talking about this movie. The the Bubbles character is just completely wasted. He's not a social worker anymore. He's just FBI guy. Jump and Pleakley just being humans the whole movie and not aliens dressing in drag makes it much less funny, much less memorable. And then the addition of a portal gun makes it so Nani technically didn't abandon Lilo. Other than that, every scene by scene comparison of this movie contextualizes how much better and more meaningful the animated movie was by almost every conceivable metric. Also, the movie is shot like a Disney Channel original movie on a budget of $57. This movie takes place on Hawaii, but is shot as if it takes place in the middle of Nebraska. Are movies just allergic to color now? Why does every Disney live action remake feel like it has a mud filter slapped on it, where the only colors allowed are just muted browns and grays? All these Disney live action remakes are just so ugly to look at. In conclusion, people love this movie. My wife loved it. My 4-year-old loved it. It will most likely make $1 billion, but I don't know why any child or adult would watch this version over the animated version. It's uglier to look at. The story is worse. It's less emotional, and every scene you like in the remake is done better in the original movie. Also, Ohana means literally anything you want it to mean now. So, yes, you should run off with that stripper and abandon your family to go become a yoga instructor in Portland, Oregon. Why not? Ohana means that too now. That it just means anything. It means everything.